I have no celebrity news. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to episode 15 of Rewind with Ro. I'm your host, Ro Carter. And on my left is my co-host, Rob Smith. How are you, buddy?
I am great, living the life of joy and happiness in the gloominess of LA.
Okay. Sorry, I had to cut you off. I wanted to apologize about last week. You got a part. We didn't find out what the part was for. We didn't celebrate you. So if you don't want to give it away, at least tell us, is it for a movie, as a commercial, what it is. If you want to give it away, give it away. But at the end of the day, I just want to say congratulations.
Thank you.
Last week. So
thank you. Well, it's a TV show and I'm not allowed to disclose.
Reoccurring or just a one-time?
No, just a one-off, but it's one of those shows where, I'll probably come back. But
Blackity black, or is it mixed?
No, it's mixed. It's not blackity black. But yes, I did book a show, but because of the nature of it, I'm not allowed to say what it is. So until it airs, I can't say what show it is.
Are you like a smart guy, a tech guy? Are you just like a guy?
I can't say anything, bro.
You gonna get him? He gonna lose his job by the end of the show.
I know I'm gonna lose the job before I even film it. I film next week, but I cannot disclose until after the show.
All right.
Yes.
All right. So anyway, how's your week going?
The week's going great. Going great. It's been very eventful. It's been fun, full of enjoyment. My friend and also I am the VP over at Hollywood Unlocked, but he's also friends with Christian Louboutin. So I spent the last few days hanging out with him, which is great. It's been fun. He's amazing. He's amazing. And
most people don't know who that is. What was he in?
Christian Louboutin, who created the red bottom shoe.
Again,
you don't know what a Louboutin is.
I do. Listen, man. I'm just saying, when you drop names, you got to let people know. You can't just drop names and be like, oh, I don't know.
He's black. He's Egyptian. He's a black man, and he's dope. He's really nice. So
we love the people that know. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. So my friend Jason Lee introduced me. So I'm very grateful. It's been a fun past few days. So yeah, maybe that's why.
Rob's been living his best life. He's like, you don't know. I don't.
No, because he's a legend. He created this beautiful empire that he has, and he's just a great human being. He's been so kind and wonderful. So I was just like, it was fun to meet him. He's like an inspiration. So
that's nice when you meet people that caliber and that level that are like still, down to earth.
Yeah, and I know Val, I hope she doesn't kill me. I know one of her sons has aspirations to, work in that field and like the shoe design. So I just think he's such an inspiration to so many people in that way. I say that's what I've done this week. That was exciting.
Okay. Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it feels like summer is here now, right? The weather has changed. I'm in Boston now, so we got 85 degrees today. I'm like, okay, this is good. I'm feeling like Miami vibes a little bit, getting back into it.
Y'all doing better than us.
Yeah.
Moving cloudy here.
I looked at the weather recently, but it feels just the energy. Everybody, Memorial Day was last weekend, so hopefully everybody had a safe and happy holiday. And now we're back to the grind until July 4th, right? So I used to work in the fitness industry, and everybody used to be about that. You had those waves, right? You had the Memorial Day wave, and everyone's like, okay, man, I got to get back in the gym for the 4th of July. That's what I'm going to do. And then 4th of July comes, okay, nah, Labor Day. That's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to take 2 months, and Labor Day is going to be Labor Day happens. When I walk out, you're going to see my body. And Labor Day happens, and then you're like, you know what? Screw it. New Year's resolutions. When I'm ready to do it. So I kind of miss that energy, but I love that when people are like, hey, getting your body healthy, kind, treating it with love. So the little things.
Yeah, crowding up the gym so you can't get to any equipment.
Hey, you gotta pick a time. You got or late at night, right? Or during the day when everybody's working, right? That's unfortunately the times. Because this movie is so deep, we're not going to go into all over the place. We're going to focus on an amazing movie tonight. It is Disney's The Little Mermaid. All right. Before I go into The Little Mermaid, I want to say one thing. I saw a movie back in the day. I saw Aladdin when just to support Will Smith. And I remember at my old job, I would have weird days off. So sometimes I have a Thursday off. And so I went to like a matinee when school was out, like around 12 or 1 o'clock. Now, I go to the matinee, there's nothing but kids and like a couple of parents and then some young kids, like kind of like on a first date. And then I go to the bathroom, like, before I go to sit down for the movie, I'm like, wow, I look like a creep. And I had a hoodie on, like a hat and glasses. I was like, oh, and I'm going to Aladdin. I was like, this isn't cool. So when I went to go see this movie, I was like, I had nobody with me. So I was like, okay, I can't go in the creepy mood look that I went last time, right? I got to go as like, yes, I had a preppy look and I sat down and I was like, yes, I'm here. I'm a human being. Don't look at me like a creep. But it was very weird to go see a kid's movie nowadays as a grown adult and people look at me like, what you doing here? I'm like,
but I felt like the audience when I was there was quite opposite. It was like all adults, and
okay.
it was like everybody showing up to watch this film and live in the nostalgic moment of film that was a part of our youth. Because I feel like everybody who was in there was around my age ish.
Yeah, there was only for this. It was a little different than when I went for the other
Yeah.
one. But it was
And it was interesting too because I like to go on movie dates by myself because I don't want anybody tapping me and talking to me. I just prefer it. I'm like, don't touch me.
What they saying? What they talking about?
Exactly. And then I go get myself a drink and see if I can get lucky. But lucky with myself. But
all right.
But I bought my movie ticket really late and I was like, oh my goodness, the whole theater was full and there was like one seat, but it was perfect because it was like this solo seat kind of in the middle, like 2 rows up. So it was like 2 rows up from the walkway. So it was like perfect level up right in the middle. I was like, this is great. I got lucky with this seat now. So I was happy with my positioning.
What time did you see the movie at?
It was 7:30. It was the last showing at an IMAX.
I saw it in 3D. Yes, treat yourself. And I saw it at like 4:45. So it was maybe 8-10 people in the whole room. So nothing too crazy.
Only 8 people?
Yeah, it was 4:45. I'm in Boston.
Oh, okay.
Like that. I'm not just gonna leave it at that.
I was like, they're by the water. They don't want to go see the Little Mermaid. Come on.
As some people say, the Black Mermaid. I'm like, no, it's not. It's the Little Mermaid.
The Little Mermaid.
Anyway, so Little Mermaid by Disney. This is the live action remake. Disney has gone crazy with this, right? They did The Lion King, the Aladdin, Cruella, Pinocchio. Every time they've done a reboot of this live action, everybody loves it, right? So it's kind of interesting for the new generation of coming in. We got to see the cartoon. So I think for us, the nostalgia of like what that animal could do, and you can't do that as much with an actual live animal, you know? So you're like, I want your neck to spin around 3 times. I'm like, yeah, I can't do that. So for me, sometimes I get upset. So when they do that, I'm like, how are they going to make this? So sometimes I go in there with like, disappointment. But all right, went there with open arms, open mind, and open heart. That's what I did. So anyway, for any people that never seen the movie The Little Mermaid or ever heard about The Little Mermaid,
is that a possibility? Were they just born last week? I'm
sure. I mean, if you grew up in the middle of like you were Boston. Not Disney films where they're actually tape cassette. And then it's too far later where it's like a CD. It's like a DVD. You're like, I'm not watching. There's those people in between. I find them all the time. I'm like, how the hell did that happen? And they're like, no one loved me at home. So all right. So
yeah, we had the full wall.
Yeah,
Disney VHS tapes. They came in the
you hurt somebody with the VHS case. It was a big.
Yeah, it was the big thick white case that kind of snapped together, and it had the VHS in there, and then we had the whole collection of all the Disney movies. Mm-hmm.
Yes, so that's exactly what it was. So we have Halle Bailey. She is an R&B singer. She's taking over the role of Ariel. There was a lot of hate going into that, but we're going to go into that a little bit later. But anyway, she plays the role of Ariel, who is one of the 7 daughters of King Triton, which I kind of love the spin on that. I'll go on that in a little bit. So the 7 sisters and 7 daughters of King Triton. And she's one of those that are kind of like trying to find her own kind of energy, which some kids are, that teenage years. Like her sisters think maybe she's in love, but it's a little bit of both, right? She wants to see what's above the water, right? And it's forbidden by King Triton, and that's played by the amazing Javier Bardem. He's amazing. He's been in everything. He usually plays a bad guy, so it's interesting to see him as the not only
father
figure, but also a great kind of like energy, positive flow. Like, hey, these are my rules. If you don't like it, then you got to get out. So just like any young teenager, she tests the water with her, no pun intended, with her dad about going above. And one day she sees all these fireworks and she goes above water, and it's the young prince. It's his birthday. Prince Eric, played by Jonna King. He's that was an interesting kind of thing. I'll go into that in a minute. And so she sees all these fireworks. She goes above water, which she knows is forbidden, and she jumps on one of these ships just to see what these guys are doing. And she sees the young prince, and they're all partying and having a good time, getting drunk. And then all of a sudden, the seas just get rocky and everything, and they wind up crashing into the side of this rock. In doing so, Prince Eric is trying to save his dog, the last thing to get off the boat. He gets knocked unconscious, blown away, and she actually rescues him from the depths of the sea. In doing so, she brings him to shore. He wakes up in a hazy phase. He sees her a little bit. She's singing over him, which is another crazy part of the film. And then she goes back in the sea, falling in love with him, and she wants to see him again. The only way she can do that is if she becomes a human. So there's a witch king, which is her aunt in the movie. She says, hey, you know what? I can give you a wish, but you have to give me your voice. And I'll give you 3 days to fall in love with the young prince. And if you kiss him on the third day before the sunset, you will be with him and you'll be able to be human and all that stuff. So, boom, there we go. And there's the movie. We find out what happens in the end. If you know, you know. If not, look it up. This is also a Hans Christian Andersen story, which I've been to Denmark. And Hans Christian Andersen, his stories are very dark. And there's not really a happy ending in it. So I'll go into that later in this broadcast. But it's really interesting to see what Disney has done with that story. I've been to Tivoli, which is where Disney got the idea. Actually, Walt Disney himself went to Tivoli, which is in Denmark. And he just, if you ever have a chance to go to Denmark, please, 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 please go to Tivoli. It is beautiful. And you can see where Walt Disney got all the ideas to put Disney World together. And it's so crazy, like from the rides to the way the flowers are laid out, all the anime, all that stuff where you feel at home, and the rides and everything. So it's really cool to see, you know, where he got that spark. Anyway, the main protagonist, which is played by Ursula, which is played by Melissa McCarthy. It was interesting to see her in that role because that's like a legendary role, kind of like in Aladdin, when Robin Williams played the bird. You're like, oh man, who's going to play this role and take it on? So I think everybody did a really good job. That's it. What do you think, Rob?
Yeah.
So sorry.
No, of course, this was highly anticipated for me. The Little Mermaid, and I always tell people this, of the Disney movies. Am I echoing?
A little bit.
It's so weird. Of the Disney movies, this has always been my favorite. So I was extremely excited when I found out that they were doing a live action version. And of course, even more excited when I found out that they were being intentional with diversifying the cast of the film, because this is one of the Disney films where I think we can kind of get away with that because they're sea animals. So it's not such a big stretch to go in this direction. I love that they started the film. I think they took some liberties to change up a few things of which they had to do, like you said, because it's the live action version of a film about half human, half fish and talking animals. So they had to take some liberties to justify and make things work. And then there were some things that they tweaked and took out a little bit that I'm sure people were upset about. But I like that they opened it up with the quote from Hans Christensen where it says, "But a mermaid has no tears and therefore she suffers so much more." They kind of opened the film with that. What happened?
That was deep.
Yeah, and I love that they opened the film with that quote because I think it really pulled you into the essence of what the Little Mermaid is actually about. And I think they did a great job of adding a little more depth to Prince Eric's character, so that we really understood that these are two people who are fighting to not just be together because they love each other, but to forge a different path than that has been defined by them for them by their family. So I think they adulted the film a little bit in that way and kind of brought it to an audience, to an adult audience, so we could digest it as not just this fairy tale about a fish. So I thought they did a great job at that. The cinematography, I think, was superb. The reality of existing underwater was very thoughtful. I loved every aspect of it, the way everyone's hair moved, the way that their bodies moved in the water. I didn't feel distracted by it at all. I just thought it was flawlessly executed, and also staying true to the flow of the story. I thought was great, but just adding those little tiny elements, which we can get into a little bit more. And there are some things that they did change that I wasn't super happy about, and which a friend of mine pointed out today, and I was like, you know what, I am a little disappointed that they changed that. But yeah, let's go.
Okay, so let's talk about the elephant in the room. So a lot of people didn't like that there was going to be cast a black woman as the Ariel, and everybody went crazy. And they're all, I should say, all the racists went crazy.
Yeah, that part.
Came out of the woodwork, threw a tantrum and complained about Ariel being black, when she should have been a pasty redhead, under the water. If we stuck to Hans Christian Andersen's version. And so what I love is, at the end of the day, people, it's a mermaid. Mermaids don't exist, so you can kind of do what you want. So to take it so literally was really crazy to me when it happened. It reminded me of when Star Wars, they showed like one preview of the new row of Star Wars movies where a black guy had a lightsaber for like 2 seconds and everybody lost their mind. And I was like, okay, there can be black Jedis. No. There would never be black Jedis. I'm like, come on, people. So I really like it. It's a bold move. I sometimes argue with that, right? When they do a reboot, I'm like, why don't we just make our own, right? But I kind of love this because I remember when the previews came out, right? And you would see videos and people would post of young black girls seeing Ariel and like, oh, she's black. And they were like so excited. So, man, I couldn't even imagine. I'm not a young female, to see someone like that, on that bright star and be like, oh my God, that could be me. Now I can swim in the water. Now, matter of fact, I want to learn how to swim. Mom, I didn't want to learn how to swim in the water, but now I do because of Ariel. So there's so many levels to this. I really love, again, I'll take my hat off to what you just said. There were some very good moves in terms of the videography of it. It felt like I was watching, what's his movie in the water, all the water movies that he's done. Avatar. Yeah. I mean, not to that level, but I saw it in 3D. So when you saw everything moving, I was like, oh, okay, cool. It wasn't dizzy. Some of these things might throw you all over the place when you do 3D. So it was really well done. It was fun and interactive. I should have saw it in 40 because I wouldn't splashed all over and missed. But
yeah, to your point, when all the backlash happened, it was disappointing, but I expected it. When they announced that Halle Bailey was going to be portraying Ariel in the live action one, I expected there to be an uproar of anger and frustration from just that side of the world. But I also think that they did a great job in justifying that choice through, which I think you were going to touch on, with Javier Bardem, who plays King Triton, when he says, all of my daughters from the seven seas, which is, essentially the story. But then they cast like Simone Ashley, who we all know from Bridgerton. So they really had a diverse cast. We had like 2 Asian women. We had another black woman who
it felt like Bridgerton under the sea. That's what it felt.
Yeah, it was just a world of diversity, and I thought it was beautiful. And like they changed Scuttle. Scuttle was now portrayed by Awkwafina.
I have a problem with Scuttle. I'm gonna go to that later. Anyway.
Yeah, I mean, we can. I also had that conversation with someone else today. I actually enjoyed the change to Awkwafina. I thought she did a great job, and I know that she had an original song that they added to the soundtrack for Scuttle, which I thought was great. And one thing that I watched an interview with, it was like a round table with all of the cast and all of the directors and writers from the show. And one thing that I don't think we really ever pay attention to or talk about is the fact that Ariel really only has one song in the movie because she gives her voice away. So she doesn't ever sing again. She only sings the one iconic song in the original film, which is, if you think back at it, you're like, wait a minute, she didn't have a voice for the rest of the movie, so we literally don't hear her until she gets her voice back at the end. And so they added another song that she sang, which was like an internal monologue of her experiencing life as a human for the first time. So they added all of these new elements to the film, which I thought was fun, a fun approach to it. And I have to say, the person beyond, other than Halle Bailey, who I absolutely think nailed it, is Melissa McCarthy.
Oh, she knocked it out of the box.
She knocked it out of the park. When I tell you she was Ursula to a T, it was perfection. I was so happy with her performance of her epic song in the film, and then I was just in general.
Let's go through each, because it's a short cast. Let's see, compared to the original movie, what do you think? So Ariel, played by Halle Bailey, we're cool with her. We love her. I think, man, when I heard her voice, I was like, I wish there were more black people here. I want to clap, you know? Yes.
Which it's interesting you say that, because
they clap in your theater?
It was a packed theater, and there was this hesitation to clap because I think it was two-part. A lot of people were crying.
Really?
Yes. And like the girl next to me was sobbing and in tears when she hit that last note. The girl, I heard her like release a gasp, and I looked over and she was crying. And then there was a group of guys next to me, and one of the guys was like, yes! But I think he expected the whole theater to do that. And I heard pockets of people ready to like scream with joy, but I think there were also a lot of people who were hoping the performance wasn't going to be great, but it was phenomenal. So
but it felt like more of an opera, right? When she sang it a little bit, I felt, or I shouldn't say opera, more Broadway,
which I thought was performative, and it was great in the right ways. I think she hit the performance of that piece very well, because the trickiness of that song is Ariel is like, she's experiencing this joy of fantasizing about the life of a human, but she actually doesn't know what that is, and she still doesn't really know human terms. So I think Ariel, Halle Bailey, like nailed the authenticity of like really, right, of like that moment of like, oh wait a minute, what's that? What do they call it? Oh, she really hit that. And she made certain parts of it her own. So I applaud her, because I think that's a big challenge too, when you approach something that's like already massively famous and well known, because that is like a huge karaoke song, and making it your own, but also keeping it authentic to the original version. She
listen, that's a lot of pressure. I was like, who else could have they cast to do? Seriously, I was like, who could do this and hold that level of vocals too? And I was like, you got a pretty small list, ladies and gentlemen, pretty small list. So moving right along, Prince Eric, he actually gets a scene. This man is like, we learned about Prince Eric. We didn't know anything about Prince Eric before. Prince Eric gets a scene. He actually gets to sing a song. So that's another thing that's added. I was like, okay, it wasn't awful. I got to know the Prince a little bit more, which I kind of love. You had to build the story up, right? You can't just say that's the Prince and that's it. So what'd you think about his performance? This young actor coming out. Okay. All right.
Okay. It's a complicated answer. No, because you're right. Like, Prince Eric was this character who was kind of like, he was just her love interest, but we knew that he was like trying to forge his own path, but they really didn't like give him enough, storyline to build on that in the original. And I think they did a great job this time, like I said, of connecting the dots of them both having this passion to forge their own path beyond what their parents have dreamed for them. And I think they really did a great job of building his character and building his story. One of my favorite scenes with him was the scene where we realized that he has his own treasure. He has his own trove of treasures that he's collected from all of his travels. and Ariel's kind of like exploring his trove and finding things that she's in love with, and they share these moments together there. And I thought that was a great way to show the bond and the connection between the two of them, where he's not just falling in love with this random girl who can't speak. It made sense. And then they spent the day together, which was great. His song, for me, it's already difficult for me to go, okay, here's a new song being added to a collection of iconic Disney songs, because just about every song in that movie is iconic. It's known. Ursula's song is iconic.
Other than that, too, we're going to that. That was good.
Yeah. Ariel's song is iconic. I'm just saying who song, Sebastian's songs are iconic. Like, he has the two of the biggest songs in the film. So I think adding a new song was like, okay, let's see how you do this. I don't think it measured up to all of the original songs, his song, but I think it could have. But I just think it was missing a little. It wasn't his fault. I just think the song, to me, wasn't as like iconic as Under the Sea or Ariel's song or Ursula's song or Kiss the Girl. Like, all of these songs that are like super iconic, it didn't measure up to them to me. Not his fault. And also, the only other thing is and in all fairness, he's the only human who has a performance of an original song, or he's the only human who has a song that he has to perform. So it felt very like Broadway performance-y to me, because he was like jumping on the rocks and like doing, whereas the subtlety of everyone else is like Ursula's like seducing her, trying to convince her to take the potion. So it's very subtle and seductive. Sebastian's is playful with all the animals, and he's a crab, so it's not really like
the water. Rob, he's like, baby, can you hear me? Because I don't even know who you are. I want to find you.
To me, I'm not saying I hated it, bro. I'm just
and share my love with you as a big grown man, Prince. I'm gonna say I love you. Where are you? I want to find you. And
it felt like that.
Stop it.
No, but I like it. I'm just saying it didn't.
We're both doing it for the first time. Of course, we're gonna be like, yo, what the hell? Again, for hearing I always do a measure of this. I remember I saw Kiss, the rock and roll band, and they played an album I never heard before in my life, but I knew who Kiss was, right? So the familiarity would be the movie compared to Kiss, but I never heard any of these songs. But I was like, okay, I'm going to go in here with open mind. And I was like, oh my God, they put in a great performance. So that's how I approached it. I was like, listen, you're not going to touch any of these songs here, but the fact they gave you an opportunity and you didn't ruin it, you didn't make it worse. And that's, we can both in that. We both agree. But again, we never heard the song before. So how can we give it anything, right? We never heard it before.
Well, if we would have heard Ursula's song for the first time, I think it would have it still would have been like, oh my God, that was amazing. If you would have heard Ariel's song for the first time, it still would have been like, oh my God, that's amazing. And for me, this was my least favorite of the songs. I just felt like it would have been like,
you have 20, 30 of that being pounded in your head. Get out of here. Are you no diggity, no doubt? That's a come on. Have you heard that today before you heard that?
Bro, I didn't say I hated it. I just wish it would have been a little more creatively.
Okay.
I think it could have been a little bit more creatively written. It was just like, oh, I have to find you. Where all the other songs are so like, they're witty, funny, creative, smart. And that's it's like, I love you, girl, I can't find.
They should have made it a country song. Just mix it all up. Just have fun. At this point, piss everybody off. All right, moving right along. Next person up, I will say, will be Ursula, played by Melissa McCarthy. She killed it. We both agree on that performance. Her big song, "You Four Unfortunate Souls," which I was like, okay, this is a big one. Let me say, because I remember her, that was like, oh my God, Disney. And that's why I get upset, because live, you can't really do the things. And they blew it out the box. She was creative with it. She's a big octopus and just moving all over the place. But she knocked that performance out the box.
Knocked it out the park.
You agree?
And she still, again, like, I think she put her own unique
spin
on it, but she kept it authentic to the original, but still made it her own. And I thought that was so great. And I also saw an interview with her where she talked about her performance and how she's not a singer. Like that's not what she does. Like she's not a singer, but she approached this with, you know, no understanding she was in the room with some major singers in that way. And she said that they were like, yeah, you should sing it in the room with the, like, go in the room with the orchestra, because like you'll never have another experience like this. And she's like, oh, I don't think so, like I'm not a singer. And they're like, trust me, you have to. And she said it was like a breathtaking, like amazing experience to actually be in the room with like a orchestra and perform that song.
Your own shower, right? But times 1,000.
Yeah,
let's go. I got my band here. Let's go.
She killed it. She killed it. She killed it.
And I love how she kept to her comedic self, because there were some funny lines she had. I was like, oh, yes. Because I was afraid that she was going to play it too like dark and dreary, but she was very fun and animated still. Because I was like, a lot of her comedic acting is like she likes to fall into stuff and just, you know, make a fool of herself. And she was able to do this, which I really love about the character. At the end, that was crazy when they made her big. I was like, oh, I was wondering how they were going to, because that's another big part, right, of the movie. Like, she's got like 20 times size. And you're like, what the hell? And they did that well, too. So really well done. Moving right along, Sebastian, played by David Diggy. He's been in Hamilton. He's blowing up as an actor as well. He had to put on a Jamaican accent for the people. And I thought he had the toughest role of all, because that song, his two songs are very like, if you don't get those right, there's going to be a whole culture coming for your head. So he had to represent on so many different levels, which I feel like other people just had one level to represent, but he had to represent on so many different levels. Like every level of black, he had to represent. Like, brother, don't mess this up now. This is a classic right here. Ariel, you can mess up. Listen,
no, you can't. What? You can't mess up Ariel.
Listen, but they'll be
that's because you identify with Sebastian because you're a guy. But
there'll be support on either side. I'm saying people like, oh, girl, she did all right. She did all right. Sebastian, you mess up. This mother, damn man.
I don't think you couldn't mess up Ariel or Ursula either for this film, because they're so iconic. Because listen, they're all of those, like I was saying earlier, those 4 songs are karaoke songs because they're so popular. So you had the pressure, the immense amount of pressure they had to be under in their own brain, to me is stressful.
Again, I agree with you to an extent, because Sebastian's song is, I've heard at karaoke and it's very playful, right? It's not like the singers come out. So the fact they didn't make it like a karaoke version, which I think is tougher to do. Oh, and one of my worst pet peeves, I love karaoke, nothing worse as when all Broadway people come in and they just sing, oh my God.
Like, we get it.
Oh God. Just take me out. Take me out, please.
So yeah, Daveed Diggs is I heard him talking about the experience of making this film, and of course the pressure that he was under. And I know he spent time in Jamaica and he wanted to like really figure out where his accent came from. And I think,
go on, Rob. Tell the people, Rob. Tell the people, Rob.
No,
Rob.
Bro. So his approach to Sebastian was a very, there were some.
Hey, Rob, tell me, Rob.
His approach to Sebastian was great, and there was some pivotal moments that I was sitting there like, oh boy, this is a big line for Sebastian in the animated film.
Okay,
this is a big one, and he nailed it. I think he nailed it 95% of the time. I think he nailed it, and I commend him, because had I had to fill those shoes, people would be like, this sucked. So I think
where you going, guy?
He really did his research. He really like dug his
Rob, let me hear your accent, Rob. Let me hear your accent.
No way. I'm not offending anyone.
At least I tried. Let me hear you. Come on, Rob. Give us one.
I'm not offending anybody who may see this. Y'all are not coming for me. No. So I think he really dug his heels into it, and he owned it. And like you're in the sense that Sebastian has a lot of the big comedic one-liners in the movie. In the original film, he has, I think, most of the big comedic one-liners. And I think Debbie did a great job again, because there was a lot of this was they had to make it authentic and new, but also stay true to the original. And I think they all did a great job. I know I already sense you have an issue with one person, but we're gonna delve into that.
Kiss the Girl is one of my favorite songs. There you see her, wow, wow, in the blue lagoon. Love that.
Okay, is that your karaoke song?
Can be better. Sorry. Anyway, I was in the chair. I was like, yeah, Kiss the Girl. And then all of a sudden, Awkwafina's Scuttle character goes, wah, wah. I'm like, oh God, Jesus. Her voice. Okay.
It was perfect.
We're going to go right along. Scuttle's character originally was like all over the place, similar to the way Awkwafina played her. Awkwafina is a comedian. She's gotten some slander in the past for she represents hip hop, but she's Asian, right? And so people had some problems with that. I've seen her stand up. I actually like her. I've liked her in other movies too. Just I don't know. She was rapping in one of the songs. So this is another song they've added. I was like, I don't remember this song. And it was interesting. I was like, oh, but it reminded me of Little Dicky. And I was like, because it was just like one of those raps that it was a different kind of flow. And I was like, oh man. And then I thought about Little Dicky for the role. Now my brain just went down a rabbit hole with that. But because I don't know, Awkwafina, I don't know. Of all the casting, I just think there wasn't the right cast for that. But everything else, I love the casting for the movie. But for me, I just thought they could have put a little bit more thought into that. I didn't find her funny at all when it came to like Scuttle was this funny, just crazy like bird, just like all over the place. And I don't know, it just didn't move it for me. That's my personal opinion.
Okay. I have no issues with Awkwafina at all. And like the fact that people have been came so hard for her, saying she's like blackfishing or whatever they want to call it. I think there's a lot of people who are culturally impacted by Black people who are not Black. That by no means mean I think they should, you like imitate Black people in a negative way. And I don't think she's a person who does that. I think that's just her source of energy and comedy. That's just where she leans. I have a female friend who that's just authentically how she, the energy she was raised around. So I think people are like, she thinks she's Black. Like, no, that's just who she is. And I don't profess to know what it feels like to be under the scrutiny of a spotlight all the time. And these celebrities go through so much shit. And I think she's brought like a sense of like fun and good comedy and positive energy to all the films she's been in. So, and then she kind of disappeared for a little bit after that stuff went down. And for me, it's like, girl, keep doing you. You're funny. You're representing for your people, for Asian people. Like, and I think she does great work. In this film, I knew it was going to be an issue from jump again. I think a lot of people didn't get scrutiny who were attached to the film because everybody was so focused on Halle Bailey because she was like the announcement of Ariel. And then every promo that came out was like a picture of her or a teaser trailer with Halle Bailey. So people didn't really they didn't see the diversity of the rest of the cast because they weren't doing their research to just click on IMDb and see who was cast or look at.
Yeah, let me tell you some people. This movie, there's color everywhere. There's just
color everywhere, and so
on steroids. This is what this is.
So, but I knew when people found out that Awkwafina was playing Scuttle, it was gonna be why is she Black? Why is Scuttle like And then they added the little rap song, which I thought was fun. It wasn't my favorite. I would probably put it over Eric's song. And,
really? Okay. All right.
So it would go like 1, 2, 3, 4, the originals, then Scuttle's song, then Eric's song. I don't know. I didn't hate any of the new songs. I like them all. They just don't compare to the originals. But this one actually was closer to the originals to me because it was like fun and witty and funny. So yeah, it was great. I liked Awkwafina's character. I think she hit those funny one-liners, I would say 75% of the time. Daveed Diggs hit it 95% of the time. But again, they had massive pressure to fill the shoes of the people who played those roles ahead of them, who are iconic for those one-liners and those like jokes that really, bring the fun and funny to the film. So overall, I think all of them did a good job.
Well, and I'll say something in defense to Awkwafina. That rap is tough. She did a flow.
Yeah.
I was like, okay. So I give her props to that. She got the timing right, and I was like, okay, because like I was like, oh, okay. So I was like, oh, for the first time in doing that, I take my hat to her for that. It was fun. It was different. Otherwise, I thought it was a well-rounded movie.
You left out a character.
Well, I'm getting into that. I'm well-rounded movie. I'm just going. Man, so aggressive. I was talking about Awkwafina for 2 seconds. You're like holding grudges. Relax. King Triton and Flounder. We have Flounder as well, played by Jacob Tremblay. Flounder was tough because Flounder was great for the Disney screen, but it's weird live because it looks kind of like a weird fish, right? Now I know. It looks like a fish on your wall and comes off and talks to you a little bit. You know, you see those people in like bars and stuff. Yeah. What's up? How you doing? Blah, 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 blah. So that's what it kind of, they couldn't get that right. That's the only, if I can say that is the only thing that they couldn't figure out how to, because the fish is above water and it just looked fake as, you know.
It wasn't that it looked fake to me. It just looked disgusting. It just looked, and the kid who plays him is so adorable. He's such a handsome kid.
He was great. The kid was great, but it was just like,
he's so, but that fish was, I was like, ugh. I was like, I'm pescatarian, and I was like, I think I'm gonna be vegan after looking at that fish. It was that
hey, you want to? Hey, Ariel, what's up?
It just like that fish looked
like in the water, bro. Get underneath that.
Yeah, the fish looked sick. Maybe he was sick because he was
out of the water, and they're like, "Yo, we got to get you back in the water." He's like, hey, "What's up? How you doing?" I'm like, "Really?" We're like crackhead.
Like, throw that one back.
That was tough.
But Jacob's performance was great. Again, I think that the cast was perfectly cast. So everyone was well cast.
And we talked a little about King Triton earlier, but Javier Bardem, he did a great job. Played the king. That made him look older. That he did a little arm workout. I could tell he was working out. Let me do my arms, tries and buys, stay in shape for this. And then that one scene at the end, where he's giving her away. It was nice. It was beautiful. Nothing over the top for him, which I love. It's very like on the surface. No.
Look at that little.
I'm fine tonight. But all around, great cast. I love what they did with the movie. I enjoyed this movie. I really did. So I give it 5 thumbs up.
Well, I have to say the one part that I was disappointed in, and I didn't even realize this until someone pointed out to me today, and I was like, oh, they didn't do that.
What was that?
So, in the original, when King Triton makes the decision to give her legs.
Yeah.
Do you remember that moment?
He's on the boat.
No.
Is he on the boat?
No, remember she's sitting on the rock and she's looking up and she's looking at the castle and she's like sad and he's like, I'm gonna miss her. And then he touches the water with his trident. And you don't remember what happens to Ariel?
No, her legs come out. I don't remember.
She comes out of the water in this beautiful purple sequence gown.
No, I don't remember that.
And
wow. Really?
They didn't give that moment. I was like, oh, they didn't do the moment when King Triton gave her legs because he put her in this beautiful sequence gown, and then she goes and finds Eric in that purple sequence, but they didn't do it. And I think they still could have given him a moment where he turned her scales into like a beautiful dress for her to go get her man. And and also they gave her that like little frumpy blue dress, and in the original she's in this like opulent pink gown.
Yeah.
She kind of looked like she was going to pick cotton. I was like,
oh damn, that's what we're doing. All right.
That's what I was like. What? And I didn't realize it until my friend pointed out. She was like, "Why did they put her in that color purple dress?" I was like, oh.
I saw that, and I was like, "Is that where the people?" Because there was a lot, I guess, like in the Bahamas, and all the people were there working. Which leads me to another thing. I was like, "Listen, this princess is complaining that she wants to be in the royal." I was like, "You should give her a real job. How about that?" I guarantee you, that she ain't gonna be about that life. She's like, I wanted to see, looking for things every day and living my best life. You want to work, girl? Shoot.
Yeah, when she ain't gonna work, she's a princess. She ain't gonna work.
Yeah,
She's not gonna lift a finger.
On the first day, give her a job. That's why they almost thought about it. That's why they gave her those clothes. Like, hey, are you working? Oh, you're not the help. Oh, okay, my bad.
I always think about this. Do you think she's gonna be a vegan? Because she can't eat fish.
She can eat meat.
As a human, do you think she's gonna like be eating crab legs?
Yeah, she definitely eats some meat. Definitely.
Her best friends are a crab, a fish, and a bird. So I don't think she's gonna eat chicken or crab legs or like.
On the side, I'm definitely thinking she's about that life.
Well, maybe under the water she was sucking down scallops. I don't know. So
yeah, I mean, the shark was chasing her and all that stuff. So I think there's like levels to it, right?
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, we did watch Scuttle like throw down on some fish right in front of Flounder. So I was like, this is a little awkward.
Yeah, you're not my type. I'm like, damn, Scuttle.
I was like, okay. I was like, be careful, Flounder, because
you next. If it has to go down, and I was waiting for the crab to get like, hey, you look kind of.
Yeah, we didn't have that whole scene either. We lost the kitchen scene.
Yeah, that's a good scene. But then I think it's just a lot of running around. So
yeah, and it really wouldn't have added to the progression of the story.
Exactly. So I think where they things they left out, they made up in other ways. So I like balance, which led to still a good story. Everybody should really look up Hans Christian Andersen's writing. He was going through a dark time, and all his stories. He wasn't really good in love, man. He couldn't find, and so his story, the original Ariel, doesn't find love, and so I kind of like, Disney's like, got to make everything happy. So you see that side of it, and it questions, the bigger question, like what do we want? What are we looking for? And coming out to the world and be like, hey, this is what I want. I want to find a soul. I want to be somebody. I want to be this or that. And willing to tell your parents, hey, I know you want this for me, but this is not my path. This is where I want to go. And so it's a deeper story that sometimes gets kind of like muddled under the water. Oh, on fire tonight. Fire. Because of all the politics behind it and stuff like that. So I wish people could also see the other side of this story. It's about every young girl out there, right? Trying to find their own voice. Because Ariel couldn't find it.
I feel like you have these written down on a piece.
No, I have not. Listen, this is off the dome, player.
Bro, we got like 10 more minutes. You got a couple more you got to hit.
No, it's off the dome. Because Ariel lost the voice. See what I was doing? The voice.
I see. I'm putting it together. I'm catching what you're throwing out.
Oh, you see? Guess what I'm putting down? There's a lot of C references here. We're gonna stop. But at the end of the day, and now I love this for beautiful young women of color. They can actually see it's the same energy. The only thing I regret is not seeing this. My little niece. I would love to see that because I remember taking my niece and my nephew to see Black Panther, the first one, and just I cried because you should have seen them, like their energy and watching themselves on the big screen. I was like, and that's the only thing I missed. And I saw it at the Magic Johnson Theater in Harlem, and so that's people were wilding out. It was not to go up fast.
Loud.
Not only was it loud. Someone brought a baby in, and the baby was like just losing his mind. And the guy was like, "Yo, excuse me, I don't want to be disrespectful. Could you please take your baby outside?" And I was like, "Yes." I don't make this up. I'm so serious. I loved every moment of people in dashikis. Like it was so amazing. And so I missed that this opportunity was one of those moments, I'm sure, where young kids, young Black kids, young kids of color are like, oh my God, I can see myself. Mom, I want to go swimming. There's like mermaid schools now and all this other stuff. Black business people, there's opportunity right now. Black business. Mermaids everywhere. Let's go. Get them because they're going to get your money. They're going to get their money.
Okay, mermaid school. Okay.
It's crazy. There's a thing on Netflix about a whole mermaid people. It's crazy. It's crazy.
Oh, I know there's all those people out there that actually, buy tails and
Yeah, that's a whole nother conversation. Anyway, so Rob, what did you think overall about the film? Would you recommend? What do you give it? Because we get so excited. Oh, sorry, should I say? Is there anything else you wanted to add?
No, I absolutely loved it. Again, I think all of the performances were great. I think the production was flawlessly executed with having to deal with us being one underwater, two dealing with a variety of like animals and movements underwater, and then transitioning from that to being on land. I thought it was done very, very well. I loved the performances, all of the performances, including the two new ones. I thought they were great, but again, they just didn't hit as hard as the original songs, but they were great. Again, I loved everyone's performance. I can tell they all put a lot of heart and energy and work into perfecting these characters that we've all grown up with and love. So my hats off to all of them. Yeah, I loved it overall. So I would say 10 out of 10.
Gotta love this man. He never misses. 10 out of 10. Again, my knock is the little bit of the Aquafina performance. The other thing at the end of the movie, all the merman and mermaids get out of the water. I felt
cry?
What?
Did you cry?
No, I was like, come on, man. What are we doing here? It was like a Care Bear stare at the end of the day. It was like
they do that. That isn't. Do you not remember the original movie?
All I remember at the end was her dad coming on the boat, right, and giving his love at the last thing, and then that was it.
They all came out of the water.
No, it was like 5 people. It wasn't like a whole like 50 people deep. No, exactly. No, 50 people deep, and the color. I felt it was too much.
I liked it.
All right. That's my opinion. So with that, I'm gonna give it an 8. 8.5. I give it 8.5. Singing, I give it a 10 across the board. Everybody knocked out the park. Singing was great. Performances were great, but just other things that I was like, again, to add on to Rob's water. Again, I remember if I spoke about this before in the past, I was nervous about how they're going to portray people underwater because there's so many movies that they do like blue bubbles and non-bubbles. What are you going to do? And so they did it the right way. Everything's pretty smooth. So I recommend take the kids, have fun. AMC, I saw it for free. Good time. 3D.
Yeah, well, not free. We pay per month.
Yeah, that's a good deal. AMC. You need more theaters though.
They know you're still gonna spend $30 on snacks.
Yeah, man. I spent. Let me tell you something. $25 later, I was like, mother. That was almost. You can't even go on a date. What's a date like to the movie? We do movie night at home now. We don't.
I skipped a glass of wine because normally I'm like, okay, I'll get a glass of wine. I'll get the Impossible Nuggets, popcorn, drink, and a water, and it's like $78. I'm like, oh god
damn. You by yourself, Rob.
How did we get here? The wine is $20. I'm like, oh god.
Got you. Listen, you gotta do what my cousin used to do back in the day. He used to he bought a whole big bag of popcorn. It's like, bro,
you bring the little nips.
No. He bought a whole like giant size, family size bag. It's like, and you hear all the loud going in the bag and that. Like,
well, I'm gonna start bringing the little nips. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, 100%. The nips are my favorite. The Twizzlers I love, but the little you talking about nibs, the drinks, the
little wine nip.
Yeah. You got to bring your own stuff. If I knew, because they check your bag, ever since that thing back in the day.
They don't check your pocket. They don't check my little pocket.
I used to do a little vest, right? And I'd shove everything in my vest. So that's what I do for the next one. So that's it. Thank you guys for tuning in. Check Rob's. When is your show start?
I film next week.
Uh-huh.
I don't know the air date. It's a show that's already on. So I'm just.
What season is this show in?
I can't say because that will give it away too.
What do you mean? There's a million shows on TV right now.
I can't say because it'll give it away.
Do you have a gun?
Huh?
Do you have a gun?
No.
Are you a love interest?
No.
Do you wear a hat?
Possibly.
I have no idea.
But yeah, no, I can't. I will definitely share once it's about to air. I'll be like, this is the show I'm on.
That's it. All right. Rob's moving up. I got to get my life together. Anyway, we're here, I believe, until the end of June. And then July and August will take the 2 months off. And then I will have a new co-host. It will still be Rob, but we're going to have him in print. We're going to have Rob in print. That's what we're doing, ladies and gentlemen. He doesn't cancel on me. Anyway, thank you.
I'll be right here.
Right here. So anyway, have a great day. We'll decide on what we're going to do next week. There's a lot of new things that came out, so have some fun. So anyway, thanks again, and see you next week. Peace.
Thank you.